In this seminar, I have some fairly negative things to say about various things that people do in modern Iskcon Kirtan. Practically all of my friends, all the devotees I most admire, and all of my favorite Kirtan leaders regularly do one or another of the things I'll complain about. So I don't intend to attack anyone personally or insinuate that anyone is spiritually defective. Please don't think that if your guru does something you hear about in my seminar, you have to ditch him and look for someone else. But I wouldn't mind if some of these features of modern Iskcon Kirtan came up for review. And at least I can hope that this seminar will help make the world safe for devotees who may not always want to do things the modern Iskcon way. It's our premise here that Srila Prabhupada did give us standards to follow in Kirtan. It's not that we have to all do everything precisely as in the 1960s and 1970s, but it's not that anything goes. There are standards, there are instructions, and we should know them. And I'm going to give you a little audio clip from Mayapur, one of my favorite Kirtan leaders from United Kingdom. I hope it will be loud enough for you to hear.
Then I'm thinking that this generation has to be very careful, because whatever we set down as a standard is being copied at the moment, and we will see the repercussions of that 3, 6, 10 years time. And after we're all gone, that will be the style in Iskcon today. One thing that constantly surprises me is that Prabhupada did manage, over those 12 years that he was with us, to pretty much keep Kirtan pretty much the same. I never heard Prabhupada do even Nitai Gaur Haribol. It's very important to get it right now, because although we may not think that we are sufficient parts of the parampara, whatever we do now is multiplied by the next generation, which will be then multiplied by the generation after that. So purity in consciousness, purity in philosophy, theology, but also in purity in musical expression. Choice of instruments, purity and faithfulness to what Prabhupada has given us is equally important, because that will go on for generations. And if we make a mistake now, that'll be difficult to correct. Hare Krishna.
I hope you were able to hear that. The essential point is that whatever we do now sets a standard, and then that starts being handed down from generation to generation. So if we get it wrong, what we get wrong will be handed down. And if we get it right, we have it right. Prabhupada said in Caitanya-charitamrita, teachings of Lord Chaitanya actually, a bona fide spiritual master chants the holy names. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. And the transcendental sound vibration enters into the ear of the disciple. And if a disciple follows in the footsteps of his spiritual master and chants the holy name with similar respect, he actually comes to worship the transcendental name. When the transcendental name is worshipped by the devotee, the name himself spreads his glories within the heart of a devotee. When a devotee is perfectly qualified in chanting the transcendental vibration of the holy name, he is quite fit to become a spiritual master and to deliver all the people of the world. The chanting of the holy name is so powerful that it gradually establishes its supremacy above everything else in the world. This is how it works, by purity, by parampara. The prayers and mantras we chant should be those that we've received from the acharyas, not cinema songs or bhajans from the street. Prabhupada says these prayers, offered by Lord Brahma in 8th canto, were not ordinary concocted prayers. Prayers must be approved by Vedic literature. In our Krishna consciousness movement, we do not allow any song that has not been approved or sung by bona fide devotees. We cannot allow cinema songs to be sung in the temple. We generally sing two songs. One is Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaur Bhakta-vrinda. This is bona fide. It is always mentioned in the Caitanya-charitamrita, and it is accepted by the acharyas. The other, of course, is the Mahamantra, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. We may also sing the songs of Narottam Das Thakur, Bhakti Vinod Thakur, and Lochan Das Thakur. But these two songs, Sri Krishna Chaitanya and the Hare Krishna Mahamantra, are sufficient to please the Supreme Personality of Godhead, although we cannot see him. Srila Prabhupada wrote in a letter to Malati Dasi, in our temple, this is 1969, strictly Hare Krishna chanting should be given more importance. There's no harm in this mantra you have heard, but it is not very important. There are many such common songs composed by common devotees out of sentiment, but our principle is to stick to the authorities and always remember that Hare Krishna is the prime authorized mantra. In Adi Leela, chapter 7, Prabhupada, there are sahajas not knowing the importance of the Panchatattva concoct their own slogans, such as Bhajanitai Gaur Radhe Sham, Japa Hare Krishna Hare Ram, or Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda, Hare Krishna Hare Ram, Sri Radhe Govinda. Such chants may be good poetry, but they cannot help us to go forward in devotional service. In such chants, there are also many discrepancies which need not be discussed here. One should not foolishly adopt any of the slogans concocted by imaginative devotees. If one actually wants to derive the effects of chanting, one must strictly follow the great acharyas. Mahajana yena gata sapanta. Then there's this memory from Rebadinandan Das, quoted in Srila Prabhupada and his disciples in Germany. One devotee had picked up a chant in India, Hey Krishna Govinda Hare Murari, Hey Nata Narayanam Vasudeva. When Prabhupada heard it, he called us into his room and said, this is not a Vedic mantra. This is a cinema song. An intelligent disciple just takes whatever his spiritual master provides for him, considering that to be sufficient. There are many names of God you can chant, but it's best to take what comes in disciplic succession and what the spiritual master introduces. I also had a similar experience with the same mantra. I wasn't chanting it, but I was there at the Kirtana and Prabhupada explicitly disapproved. This is from Yashodanandan Das, also memories. While he was singing the Namaste Narsingha prayer, some Indian lady in the crowd started to sing Om Jaya Jagadisha Hare. Prabhupada interrupted the prayer and said, who has said this? He said, no, not Om Jaya Jagadisha Hare. It is Jaya Jagadisha Hare. Don't concoct. I heard Prabhu Jaya Jagadisha Hare last week here in Sridham, Mayapur. Nothing wrong with it, except it's not what we do. Swami Jaya Jagadisha Hare, that's also heard, but not from Prabhupada. Prabhupada said in 1972 in a lecture, "We cannot follow an upstart manufacturing some song. What is authorized song, we shall sing." I know I'm beating on this drum a lot, but it needs to be beaten. Authorized songs means, Prabhupada said, the songs which were sung or composed by self-realized acharyas. It is an injunction in the Vaishnava regulations that unauthorized songs or statements should never be heard. The comparison is given that milk, although very nutritious food, if it is touched by the tongue of a serpent, it acts like poison. And again, one should chant the bona fide songs received from the disciplic succession. In Bhagavad Gita, it is said that the chanting is powerful when one follows the disciplic succession. Evam parampara praptam imam rajarshayo viduhu. Manufacturing many ways of chanting will never be effective. However, chanting the song or the narration left by the previous acharyas, Mahajana Yena Gatasa Panta, is extremely effective, and this process is very easy. Now, with that background, we can look at some of the mantras current in various parts of Iskcon. Bhakti Vikash Maharaj characterizes them as catchy jingles. Govinda Bolo Hari Gopala Bolo. Those who aren't laughing are probably from London, where we hear this a lot. Where does this come from? Srila Prabhupada never chanted it. He did chant Govinda Jaya Jaya, Gopala Jaya Jaya, Radha Ramana Hari, Govinda Jaya Jaya, which I haven't heard in an Iskcon Kirtan in about 30 years. But Prabhupada chanted it. What else? Radha Rani Ki Jai, Maharani Ki Jai. A Brijbasi folk song, Bhakti Vikash Maharaj rightly says, and heard in Iskcon Kirtans. Who's heard it? Okay, quite many. Jaya Radha Ramana Haribo. Jaya. And invented Pop Bhajan. There's sort of songs that come in cycles in Vrindavan, you know, they're like seasonal, or they're kind of the song of the year or whatever. Radhe Radhe Shami Radhe. Who's heard that one in Iskcon? Oh, how about that? Oh, Radharani, please introduce me. No, to your Sham. It appears, and within this song there's something else. Radhe 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 Shri Radhe Radhe Shri Krishna Radhe Radhe. It's all, it appears actually, all of this, in a book called More Songs of the Vaishnava Acharyas, where it's labeled Traditional Gujarati Chant. Sampradaya Vihina Ye Mantraste Nishpala Mata. If the mantra you're chanting hasn't come through the disciplic succession, it will have no effect. It will be useless. Then there's another Gopala, Gopala, Devakinandana Gopala. This is from Hayagriva's book, Hare Krishna Explosion. Kirtan always begins with a rousing Hare Krishna. Then, after Swamiji's lecture, we chant Gopala, Gopala, Devaki Nandana Gopala. We first heard this mantra sung by poet Ginsberg, and for a week, Swamiji tolerates it. Then he calls me in. This is not a valid Vaishnav mantra, he tells me. You may change Devaki's name for Yashoda's. Yashoda and Devaki, and not Devaki, is accepted as Krishna's real mother because those pastimes were carried on with her. But best not to chant that mantra at all because it is not authorized. Still intent on some variety, we chant Sri Ram Jai Ram Jai Jai Ram. One Hare Krishna is worth 2,000 Jai Rams, Swamiji remarks. So why are you wasting time? On Tuesday and Thursday evenings, Mukunda gives music lessons teaching different melodies for Hare Krishna. And there's also Govinda Jaya Jaya Gopala Jaya Jaya Radha Ramana Hari Govinda Jaya Jaya, which Swamiji sings so beautifully at Kirtan and upstairs alone, playing harmonium, his voice full of devotion. Any questions so far? Mm-hmm. Yes, Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda, Sri Advaita Gadadhar Shiva Shadi Gaur Bhakta Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Yeah. Obeisance to the spiritual master, that's there. But as far as what our kirtan essentially consists of, this is it. This is our bread and butter. Swayambhu wanted more clarification on what Prabhupada has said about the chanting of Nitai Gaur being a deviation. In his mind, there was some contradiction. He put it to Prabhupada to resolve. Prabhupada, you wrote in Caitanya-charitamrita that the Chaitanya Mahamantra, Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda, there's no offense in that. And therefore, in Kali Yuga, it's more beneficial. Prabhupada repeated his comments meant to Harikesh Maharaj, made to Harikesh Maharaj. Offense is that what is spoken by the acharyas, if you do not follow, that is offense. Gurur avagya. Even there is no aparad, because Guru, Kaviraj Goswami, has sung like that, and my Guru has sung like that. We should follow that. We should not make any deviation. That is Gurur avagya. So it comes to one of the items of the Dasavidha aparads, 10 offenses, Gurur avagya. Is it more beneficial for people to hear the Panchatattva mantra than the Hare Krishna Mahamantra? Oh yes, Prabhupada told us, you're going to Hare Krishna through Nitai Gaur. Nitayar Karuna Habe, Braje Radha Krishna Bhave. But he added, the principle is, don't try to manufacture, because you are not experienced. So what nonsense you will manufacture, that will be offensive. Better go on the simple thing. I'm going to shorten up some quotes. There are so many they have invented. Just like Hare Krishna mantra is prescribed in the Shastras, and they have invented so many. Although there is the name of the Supreme Lord, still you have to follow the Shastra. If you say Ram, 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 Radhe, 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 Krishna, there are so many mentioned. That is also name, but you have to follow the Shastras. Shastra says, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. You have to take that. Not that you can say, Nitai Gaur Radhe Sham, Hare Krishna, Hare Ram. No. Why? Is there any in the Shastra? No, you have invented. What is the value of your invention? You are not perfect, but they like that. It is my guru, I have got some followers, I invent some type of chanting. This is nonsense. You must follow. Mahajanayena Gata Sapanta. You cannot invent. Vrindavan Lectures, 1976. 1976, again, a letter to Saurabh Prabhu, there's Surabhi Maharaj, for worshipping the deities in Bombay. I'll give you a background that In Vrindavan we have, as you know, Nitai Gaur and Krishna Balaram, Radhe Shyam. So then Bombay Temple is under construction at the time of Prabhupada's departure. And so there Surabhi wrote him and said, what should we do? For worshipping the deities in Bombay, including Sitaram, there is absolutely no change in worship. Adopt the same method as in our Vrindavan center, simply with 3 pujaris, just like in Vrindavan. They are all Vishnu Tattva, Ramchandra, Radha Krishna, Gaur Nitai. No additional kirtans. Simply do exactly as in Vrindavan. Yes?
Maharaj, what about Ram Navami?
What about Ram Navami?
Navami also, the devotee should just do Hare Krishna Mahamantra.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Covers Ram Navami. Prabhupada sometimes chanted Raghupati Raghava Raja Ram. Yes, for some, like on some Ram thing. Hardly at all, but you can chant that, but not the rest of Gandhiji's verses, only that one. And, 2 minutes and then you're done. Yes?
Maharaj, may I ask, when we sing Jayadvaita Swami Nayana Patagami.
Okay, that's his question. Go ahead.
When we sing Jayadvaita Swami Nayana Patagami Bhavatame, what does Srila Prabhupada say about that?
That's a bona fide long song. Jagannatha Swami Nayana Patagama Bhavatume. There's long prayers. It's accepted. But what about Jai Sitaram Lakshman Hanuman, that mantra? Where did that come from? Hey, wait, come back. Jaya Sitaram Lakshman Hanuman, Jaya Sitaram Lakshman Hanuman. Do they chant that in Vrindavan? No, not in our Vrindavan temple. They don't chant that, do they? And Prabhupada said, no additional kirtans, simply do exactly as in Vrindavan. So why do we find in Iskcon temples that they're chanting this Jai Sitaram Lakshman Hanuman? Where did it come from? Which acharya has chanted this? Who has heard it from Prabhupada? Where does it come from? Suppose I start Jaya Jaya Sitaram, Jaya Lakshman Hanuman. Is that any less authorized? It's equally authorized because both versions come from nowhere. For those who know Hindi, I have another mantra. Jaya Jaya Sitaram, Mangata Mantra Mera Pran. Jai Jai Sitaram, my life and soul is invented mantras. As far as I'm ready for somebody to tell me where this comes from. Yes. Some temples do have deities of Sitaram, Lakshman, Hanuman. Specifically the temple that Prabhupada was talking about, Bombay. For worshipping the deities in Bombay, adopt the same method as in Vrindavan, no additional kirtans. Simply do it exactly as in Vrindavan. Prabhupada certainly knew that Sitaram and company were being installed there in Bombay. So he's speaking directly to the question, what should we chant in front of Sitaram? No new mantras. No additional kirtans. Simply do exactly as in Vrindavan. If somebody has, I'm ready for counter evidence if somebody has a letter from Prabhupada or a statement from Prabhupada that says, you can also chant Jai Sitaram Lakshman Hanuman, because this is an authorized mantra. I'll go home, you know. But so far...
So Maharaj, one follow-up question is, we usually conclude Hare Krishna Kirtan with the Jayadvani for the deities, like Jay.
Yeah, we're going to come to that. We shall dedicate a special portion of our seminar to all the extra things that we add, like sprinkles on, the cake makers know what I'm talking about, right? Like sprinkles on at the end of the kirtan. We will certainly come to that. Yes.
Maharaj, I have a question to the Panchatattva mantra.
Panchatattva mantra,
Yeah,
yes.
sometimes we hear devotees, they chant the Panchatattva mantra and then they add, for example, Jai Gaura Bhakta Vrinda, just the last line, and then they chant Jai Gaura Nityananda.
I've heard Prabhupada add Jai Gaur Bhakta Vrinda. I didn't hear Jai Gaur Nityananda. It's not that far away, but I didn't hear that. There's generally what's called akars. In Bengal, it's sort of a customary in kirtan to add many things at the end there. It's not totally out of line. But I just saw a quotation from Jayapataka Maharaj. I didn't pull it out from my notes, but he basically said, Prabhupada said not to add. But we heard that we did hear Prabhupada add Jai Gaur Bhakta Vrinda. Yes, sir.
Sitananda Premananda is also mentioned there.
I haven't mentioned Jai Gaur Sitanath Premanande. I never heard it from Prabhupada. I'm not sure where it comes from. My guess might be the Advaita Parivar, but that's only a guess. But I never heard Prabhupada say it. I've heard it in our temple indeed, but I haven't heard it from Prabhupada. A lot of what you'll hear from me, by the way, is not going to be, this is authorized, that's not authorized. It will simply be, I never heard it from Prabhupada, or I did hear it from Prabhupada. And you can take it from there. You just heard me devote a fair amount of time to saying, producing quotations saying, we should chant what the acharyas have chanted, we should chant what the acharyas have chanted. So I'm not going to say what you can chant and what you can't chant, always. I'll sometimes pronounce on these things. But I may just sometimes say, well, I never heard it from Prabhupada, or I'm not aware of anyone who's heard it from Prabhupada. And I leave it to you to do the math. This is from Harikesh Swami. When Harikesh Swami was a leader in Iskcon, he got many instructions from Prabhupada about kirtan, and he wrote them up. So I will refer to them. He objected to the usage of Jai Gurudev, since it was a direct insertion into our movement from the Sahaja Sampradayas, who always say things like Jai Gurudev, without referring to any particular guru. Prabhupada criticized this as impersonal and did not want it chanted by his disciples. Who is the guru, he would challenge. He wrote to Bhavananda, Prabhupada did, you have written on the invitation card, all glories to our Guru Maharaj. This is impersonalism. As soon as we offer obeisances to Guru, the name should be there. We are strictly personalists. The Sahajas write, glories to Guru. Why you are learning this impersonalism? Who has taught you? Daily I am offering obeisances to my Guru by vibrating his real name, Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati. Otherwise, it is impersonal. And Bhavananda Prabhu recounts that Prabhupada told him, don't chant Jai Gurudev, it is Mayavad. Kripamoy Prabhu, February 77, Gaur Purnima, before the first Mangal Arti, Panchadravita Swami had been chanting Bhaja Bhakta Bhakata Vatsala Sri Gaura Hari for the Mangal offering. During the Arti, someone had been chanting, for Prabhupada of course, Jai Gurudev. And Bhavananda came down after Mangal Arti And during the announcements, he brought 2 messages from Prabhupada, because Prabhupada was just upstairs. So Prabhupada said, first, you don't sing Bhogarti for Mangalarti, sweet offering. Second, you do not sing Jai Gurudev. Gurudev is impersonal. It can mean anyone. If you want to indicate your spiritual master, you call him by name. So it is, Jai Prabhupada. Then afterwards, he also said that if you want to sing Jai Gurudev, you should sing it before singing Jai Prabhupada, so you finish with the personal name of the spiritual master. But in our multi-guru Iskcon, sometimes the generic form of Jai Gurudev is a glorification of all the Iskcon Guru Vrinda, as a glorification of all the Iskcon Guru Vrinda, is chanted by the disciples leading kirtan, not before Prabhupada's name, but after. So it means that if you're a Prabhupada disciple, who's now at a kirtan being led by a junior, you are then guilty of contravening Prabhupada's explicit instruction, because the Gurudev that you're being asked to chant cannot indicate your Gurudev if you sing it after Jai Prabhupada. It may be a small thing, but it's one of those things that has bothered Kripamoya Das for many years, since he first heard it in Mayapur, and now it has caught on. Now that's from, of course, Kripamoya. Well, here's how Prabhupada led kirtan. In the morning, Shri Krishna Chaitanya, Hare Krishna, nothing else. So, of course, we offer the obeisances to Prabhupada, but then it's felt that you have to add Jai Prabhupada at the end, which you may or may not. And then since you added Prabhupada, you have to add Gurudev. But since there's all these different Gurudevs, you can't go beyond Jai Gurudev. And so you wind up with this impersonal thing. I won't say more about that, except that it's not necessary. Yes? After Guru Puja, Jai Prabhupada. You got something else you want to chant? What? It's Prabhupada's Guru Puja, right? I mean, you call it Guru Puja, it's really Prabhupada Puja. So if you chant Jai Prabhupada, that's good. There's a question way in the back.
Excuse me. The Prabhupada also kind of getting familiar now, Navadvip, other places, Gauriya Math. So they had to sing Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur as a Prabhupada. We had to sing Abhacharana Bhakti Swami Prabhupada. Navadvip, other places now, they start also saying Prabhupada. So now, if you make it clear, this Gurudev and Prabhupada is kind of...
Yeah, even Prabhupada has become generic. I don't have something to say about it, except that probably in Kirtan to chant Jaya A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami will be a rhythmic challenge. I don't have more to say about it than that. Yes. Or whoever. Yes.
So when Aarti finishes, usually in our temple we hear that Jai Radha Madhav, Radha Madhav, Radhe.
We're going to get into that. I devote a whole section of this seminar to the blessed Jai Deity, 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 Radhe. Yes.
Maharaj, what about when we say Srila Prabhupada Pranadana Hai?
Yeah, we're going to get into the whole Jaya Deity suite. Okay. The Prabhupada objected to Bhaja Hare Krishna. He objected to Bolo Hare Krishna. He objected, no bhaja. Where did he stopped the kirtan, Bhakti Charamaj relates, ecstatic kirtan, he said, never add anything to Hare Krishna Mahamantra, never subtract anything. Sing the Mahamantra just as it is. And he said, this is how deviation starts. Somebody puts in his own concocted thing, and somebody else comes, he adds some more concoction to it, and with time it becomes a complete distortion. He objected to bhaja, Hare Krishna. And I have more stories that say the same thing. Bhakti-Vikas Swami writes, Srila Prabhupada did not want anything chanted before the Hare Krishna Mahamantra. Once he stopped Jayadvaita Maharaj from chanting Bolo before the Hare Krishna Mahamantra. Bolo simply means chant. But Srila Prabhupada did not like it, and therefore we should not add it or anything else to the Maha Mantra. Who's heard Bolo Hare Krishna? Every day, right? All over the place. No Bolo. Bolo, mat Bolo. It means don't chant Bolo. This is, again, from the article written by Harikesh. As far as his standards go, his instructions could not have been more specific. The exact cause of these instructions was a kirtan led in the temple by Bharadwaj the night before. Prabhupada had been in the habit of attending our nightly kirtans and classes due to his being sick and unable to speak. That evening, Bharadwaj chose to sing a song, which he said he got from a book by Gopal Bhatta Goswami, which was a variation on the mantra, Krishna, 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 Hey. But instead of its being for Krishna, Krishna was replaced with Gaura. So that the mantra went, Gaura, 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 Hey. Srila Prabhupada disliked this extremely, so much so that the next morning he called me into his room and wanted from me an explanation of why Bharadwaj was chanting like that. I could not give a proper explanation, but Prabhupada said he never wanted to hear that again in the temple and that I should never allow such kinds of speculation in kirtan. He then went on to specifically describe how kirtan should be done. Harikesh was president at Vrindavan at this time, I believe. More or less his exact words were, now I want to establish the standards for kirtan. You may chant as follows. For Mangalarti, the Samsara Dava prayer, then Sri Krishna Chaitanya, then Hare Krishna, nothing else. For the Guru Puja, the Guru prayer, that's what he called it, Sri Krishna Chaitanya, Hare Krishna, nothing else. For all artis, this basic pattern should be followed. The chanting of Sri Krishna Chaitanya mantra should only be for 3-4 times, not more. Then no one should sing a bhajan unless all the devotees know what the song means. No one should sing songs in Vrindavan temple that are in languages people do not understand. Yashomati Nandan may be sung, people know that. And that's what he said here. Samsara Dava, Sri Krishna Chaitanya, Hare Krishna, nothing else. Then the Arti song, Sri Krishna Chaitanya, Hare Krishna, nothing else. That's what Prabhupada instructed.
Maharaj, like in Mayapur, Prabhupada writes in Caitanya-charitamrita, Hari Harai Namah.
Yeah, that you can add. All right, since you brought it up, Prabhupada writes in Caitanya-charitamrita that these two lines should be added. Haraye Nama Krishna, Yadavaya Nama, Gopal Govindaram, Sri Madhusudan. He said especially in Sridham Mayapur, so that people will hear nothing but these 6 lines. Sri Krishna Chaitanya, Prabhu Nityananda, Jayadvaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaur Bhaktivinoda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Nama Krishna, Yadavaya Nama, Gopal Govinda Ram, Sri Madhusudan. These two lines. Sometimes we hear the whole song composed by Narottam Das Thakur, which is a different thing. Hare Nama Krishna, Yadavaya Nama, Gopal Govinda Ram, Sri Madhusudan, Sri Chaitanya Nityananda. That's a song, it's bona fide, it's not what Prabhupada asked us to sing. These two lines. Two. After a concerted effort extending over multiple years here in Mayapur, that's pretty much been established as the Mayapur standard. It's one of the few victories we've had in kirtan standards over the years, that except when devotees come from elsewhere, it's these two lines. Any questions about that? Yes.
Maharaj, how many times we should chant Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya?
Unlimited times. But during a kirtan, I'm hear from Harikesh 3 times.
1 time is acceptable.
Again, I'm not the judge. But Prabhupada says before chanting the Mahamantra, we should chant the Panchatattva mantra. Now, how many times? 1, 2, 3, 4. I don't think Yamaraj is counting. But the idea is that the main thing is the Hare Krishna Mahamantra.
I heard from Bhakti Swami Maharaj, he said that at least, or not more than 3 times, or at least 3 times, but I don't know the source of it.
Yeah, I don't. Well, here, Harikesh says this is what he heard from Prabhupada. Anything else at this point? Okay. Shrutikirti Prabhu relates, this is 1973 in Gaur Purnima festival, first Gaur Purnima festival here. Many devotees demonstrated how they'd become influenced by the Bengali form of kirtan. Prabhupada expressed some displeasure about the chanting of so many different mantras. They can chant their Nitai Gaur Hari Bols, he said, but I will chant Hare Krishna and go back home, back to Godhead. On another occasion during Mayapur in 1976, devotees were chanting Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol again and again in a huge exuberant kirtan. After several minutes of this, Prabhupada sent word down from his room to chant the Hare Krishna mantra. He said, "We are not the Hari Bol Sampradaya." Finally, Harikesh Swami relates, one morning in the winter of 1975, after the temple was opened, Ananda Prabhu was leading kirtan. He was a godbrother of Srila Prabhupada, who had been living in our temple for many years, humbly engaged in serving the devotees with great love and devotion. He was the personal cook of Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati and was extremely expert in preparing foods from simple indigenous leaves, roots, and fruits, and so on. Srila Prabhupada was in his room, as usual, during the Mangalarti Kirtan, and I was in the room next to his, waiting some order or command. I was not to be disappointed. The kirtan was loud, and the speakers, combined with the reverberation of the hall, projected the sound into Prabhupada's room. Prabhupada called me into his room. I already knew what was going to happen, since I was trained by him the previous year and knew his standards for kirtan. Anand Prabhu was chanting, Gaur Nityananda Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol. I knew that this was not what should happen, but I was Prabhupada's servant at this time and not the president any longer. Much to my surprise, Prabhupada said, "Go to the temple room and stop him from singing the kirtan. Tell him that this is your temple and that you will lead the kirtans the way you want." Well, that was quite a shock. It was the first time I ever had to stop one of his own godbrothers from singing a kirtan, but I dutifully marched off to the temple to fulfill the order. I was not at all feeling good about it. I was afraid of making some offense. Being fallen, I just couldn't bring myself to say it exactly as Prabhupada said it, but I managed to mutter out some words to the effect that Prabhupada did not want this mantra in the temple, and would he please chant Hare Krishna instead. This made a little scene with the devotees not understanding what was going on, so I managed to explain something to some others, since the kirtan was still going on, but soon the kirtan was stopped and taken over by others. Prabhupada was never abrasive toward others, and especially I had never seen him act like this in the temple. But he was so determined that the kirtan standard be maintained and not changed by the introduction of other mantras, which were commonly heard in other temples and mutts, that he sent me to stop his own godbrother from singing in the temple. This incident impressed me greatly as to his determination in this regard. Okay. Again, if there are any questions, you're welcome to ask. Yes.
I was just thinking about, the chant Gaur Nityananda Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol.
Yeah.
I've listened to Jayadvaita Swami's Kirtana. He would chant Gaur Nityananda Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol. But
Yeah.
I guess we've sort of clarified it.
There's conflicting quotes about it. This is Transcendental Diary, Volume 4. He said, Nitai Gaur Hari Bol is all right because they're bona fide names of the Lord. But the real point is that we should strictly follow only what the acharyas have given. This is the process. He said that the acharyas only chant all 5 names of the Panchatattva, not just 2. So although there's no offense in chanting the names of Gaur Nitai, if we deviate and chant our own made-up mantras, this is Gurur Avagya. But Prabhupada once told Lokanath Maharaj it was all right. We chant Gaur Nityananda Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol. Prabhupada said, that is all right. Lokanath, Gaur Sri Advaita, is it recommended by you? That's in our parampara. What about Jai Jagannath, Jai Jagannath? And Prabhupada said, yes, that's all right. Anukirtanam, to chant always the Lord's name. So these are Lord's name. Jagannath is also Lord's name. Nityananda, Lord's name. But then Sari Prabhu gives a counter instance. New Delhi, August 30th, 1976. After singing the standard prayers and the Mahamantra, Lokanath Maharaj began chanting Gaur Nityananda Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Gaur Sri Advaita Bol, and so on, with a lot of emphasis on the response of Hari Bol, Hari Bol. Srila Prabhupada suddenly signaled him from the stage to stop it. He apparently didn't like it, although he didn't say why. We just heard that quote about all 5 names of the Panchatattvas. Yes. Abhijit, Prabhu.
So the kirtan that he just mentioned, Gaur Nityananda Bol, there's a whole kirtan of that written in the More Songs of the Vaishnavacharya's book.
Yeah.
And so this, and then a previous instance where you talked about something from More Songs not quite being right.
Mm-hmm.
So is that book, although it says More Songs of Vaishnavacharyas, are we saying that that book is not quite up to the standards?
Well, by a process of deductive reasoning, one might arrive at that conclusion. It's not published by the BBT. The Songs of the Vaishnavacharya's book is published by the BBT, and Prabhupada specifically approved its contents, as far as I know. And in fact, he wrote the introduction for it. More Songs of the Vaishnavacharyas, I don't recall who's compiled it. It's not published by the BBT, and traditional Gujarati folk song doesn't sound to me to be a sign of great authority. So I would have to question, maybe song by song, what I see there, and not just take it as, well, if it's in there, it must be authorized. Yes?
For the last 50 years, we have chanted the Prabhupada pronounced mantra during samsara prayers. And as you say, by deductive method, we can also deduce that Prabhupada approved of it because during his life presence, he never said stop them chanting my prayers, during the Prabhupada, during the samsara prayers.
Well,
And also Harikesh, sorry Maharaj, and also Harikesh Swami and the other gurus, they never opposed. So
right.
I find it a little bit strange to me.
I don't know that during Prabhupada's time we chanted the pranam mantras to Prabhupada in the middle of the Gurvastakam.
I have heard Maharaj all kirtans, samsara prayers in Vrindavan and other temples where they pray, as we do after Jayashri, the prayers for Srila Prabhupada.
You mean like after Chaturbidal Sri Bhagavat Prasada they would chant Namam Vishnu Padaya? What are you saying?
After the samsara prayers are over, then we start with the...
After they're over. After they're over. I don't have a problem with that.
Yeah, okay. Sorry, I misunderstood. Thank you.
I haven't said anything about it. We've been here an hour and a half. I haven't raised such a thing. Have I?
Understood. Sorry.
Okay. Good. We now come to the morning tune. Srila Prabhupada, this is Harikesh again, was very strict in the melody sung during the Mangal Arati. He wanted the morning melody and nothing else. He would sometimes stop kirtans if other melodies were sung in the morning. Of course, he was not always doing that, but when he was nearby and there was someone to appreciate the point, he would correct the mistake. We were chanting Mangalarti within Prabhupada's room each morning. Sometimes he would appreciate the singing, sometimes not. Later on in the morning, after a particularly bad kirtan, Prabhupada called me into his room and complained. He said, more or less, I did not like the singing in the morning. The morning melody must be sung throughout the Mangal Arti, and no other melody should be sung. It should be sung sweetly and melodiously, like this. And he proceeded to sing the first verse of the Samsara prayer in a very sweet and melodious voice. Prabhupada was very insistent that the singing should be done in that way only. He indicated that he wanted me to lead the kirtans in the morning as a way to establish the standards within the temple. We have a recording of Srila Prabhupada. Because then you may ask, well, what is that morning tune?
This is the morning tune.
That's the morning tune. And that we've just heard is what Prabhupada said he wanted sung throughout the Mangal Arati and nothing else. Any questions? Yes.
What about the tune for the Mangal Arati? What about the tune for the Guru Ashtakam itself?
You just heard it.
That was Hare Krishna.
And Harikesh said, I did not like it should be sweet. The morning melody must be sung throughout the Mangal Arati. He proceeded to sing the first verse of the Samsara prayer in that tune. That's the tune. Are there any questions?
I was wondering, the tune, you have to be like, I listen to some devotees say that some Saradava you have to be sing like low, like
The pitch is has not been specified, low or high. I might suggest that it be chanted in a pitch that most people could reach, which would be nati nicham, nati utratam, nati nicham, not too high and not too low. Exactly what that is, I can't say exactly, but yeah. But the first thing is to get the tune right. You know, now you're talking refinements. First thing is, when was the last time, who can remember the last time that they attended a Mangal Kirtan, Mangalarti Kirtan, where only this tune was chanted? Show your hand. Who can remember the last time that they attended such a Mangalarti Kirtan? One person can remember. When was it?
It's in at the Radhanandaneshwar temple.
Mm-hmm.
Soho Street.
Soho Street. When?
They sing Mangal Arti and that's so true.
They'd sing the whole Mangalarti beginning to end. Wow, fantastic. All glories to them. Okay, so we saw one hand. Are you another hand? You've heard it. You can remember.
Yeah, I remember. Salem, they're saying.
Salem Temple, they do the same thing. Bhakti-Vikas Swami's territory. Am I right that the rest of you can't even remember the last time you've heard a kirtan led that way?
I can say I've been in Iskcon about 10 years. I've never heard that.
10 years you've never heard it. And this is a room of, what's the head count, would you say? About 40 people? 50 people? 50 devotees here. And I see, people who've been around 10 years or 20 years, and they cannot remember. They cannot remember hearing a kirtan led the way that we just heard Prabhupada said was the only way it should be led.
In regards to it's like the variation for the Sri Radhika Madhavayorapara, is that just a speculation?
No, the samsara, the morning tune has a low part and a high part, and there's even a third higher part if you want to go for it, right? Abhijit, give me the three parts, Abhi. You sing better than I do.
Samsara Dava Nalvira Loka. That's the slow part. Jiradika Madhavayurapana. That's the second one. And then it could be even higher. It could be Jiradika Madhavayurapana. That one.
So we can go like that. So there are different, what would you say, parts to the morning tune. They're all traditional. They're all, as far as I recall, chanted by Prabhupada. So that's fine. What I've noticed is, of course, Prabhupada in the original Happening album recording sings the high part for Sri Radhika Madhavayorapara, and then somehow it becomes a tradition that every time you sing that verse, it should go high like Prabhupada. Prabhupada didn't do it every time. It was just that one time that it was done, and now it has to be preserved for eternity. Then on that verse, you go high. I have no objection to it. It's you can, but it's not like, well, that's how Prabhupada did it. That's how Prabhupada did it once. And then, and also you've got to extend it. If you want to go a little, really be the way Prabhupada did it, you have to extend the syllables on that part, because that's how Prabhupada did it on that album. Maybe you don't have to. Any other question? Yes.
I heard here in Mayapur only, at the end of the Mangalarti, Nagati Kutayopi.
Yeah, the Bangla devotees can help me with this. As far as I know, that has to do with Bengali pronunciation. It's not that they're really introducing something speculative. It just has to do with the way Bengalis pronounce, like Lakhan, Lakmi. That's Bengali pronunciation. Huh?
Namayom.
Namayom, yeah. These are it's sort of Bengali-ized Sanskrit, and I don't want to criticize the Bengali devotees for Bengali-izing their Sanskrit because the American devotees Americanize it, so. Okay. Yes. One more thing about the morning tune, by the way. It's only for the morning. It's only for the morning. If you're chanting the morning tune for evening arti, you're out of sync. Regarding the morning tune, okay, you're on.
Originally, Prabhupada sings like Samsaradava Nalalida Loka Tranayakarum Jagannatham. It's different, slightly different than what we sing today. Samsaradava Nalalida Loka.
It's all within the same, tune. You're not going very far away. But when you're chanting, what is it? Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama. You're not even close.
Maharaj, I want to share with you this Namayom thing. I went to Hungary and I was doing the kirtan, and then after the samsara prayers, I started Namayom Vishnu Palaya, and then I heard the devotees laughing. I didn't know why, but laughing. I didn't know why. After the kirtan, I asked them why they were laughing. Because in Hungarian, Mayom means monkey. Namayom Vishnu Palaya.
Hare Krishna. What I've usually seen is the modern Iskcon pattern is that you follow the morning tune for the Gurvastakam, then you follow the morning tune for Prabhupada's pranam prayers and Sri Krishna Chaitanya, then you follow the morning tune for a few verses of Hare Krishna, and then you do this Hare Krishna, and that's kind of the signal that from there on, anything goes. After that, it's like free form. How many have heard this pattern? That's pretty much the whole room. How many have heard this pattern within the last 3 days? Pretty much the whole room. How many of you have heard it practically all the time? In Mayapur and Vrindavan and all over the place. This is it. It's gone from only the morning tune to something very different. Hare Krishna. Yes.
On the topic of Samsara Dava, in Vrindavan they do Vibhavari Shesha?
In Vrindavan they do Vibhavari Shesha at Mangalarti. The history briefly is that after Prabhupada's disappearance, the devotees consulted Srila Narayan Maharaj about so many details of Prabhupada's Samadhi ceremony and so on, as Prabhupada had advised. And then it came to the question of what should we do? And he said, well, you should have a kirtan in the morning for, before it was decided, okay, before the Mangalarti, have kirtan at the Samadhi and chant Samsaradava. Then the question, well, if we've already chanted Samsaradava, again to chant Samsaradava is redundant. So he suggested Vibhavari Shesha, and since then the devotees have followed that suggestion. That's why it's that way in Vrindavan. Yes. Yeah, it's an authorized song, there's no question about that. And that was the suggestion, and that's what the devotees have followed. That's why it's that way in Vrindavan only. I managed to stop the same thing in New York, where they felt they somehow had to chant Vibhavari Shesha during the Mangal Arati. And it wasn't easy either. Yes. Okay, any more questions about that? Yes.
Maharaj, generally it is heard devotees saying the same tune if we are singing, sometimes it felt monotonous.
We get bored. That is the problem. If you just sing the same tune, it gets monotonous. Then you're not getting, juice from the tune. Then where are you going to get your juice from? Oh, you'll have to listen to the sound of the mantra, which is what you're supposed to do. The juice doesn't come from the tunes. It's not all about the tunes. How long does Mangalarti last? It lasts 25 minutes. Devotees can't go 25 minutes without a change of tune before they get bored. There was a television show back when I was a kid called Ted Mack's Amateur Hour. It had all these different acts, like, somebody would play a kazoo and somebody would do a magic trick and somebody, and all the things were like, 5 minutes, 10 minutes, all these amateur artists coming on and doing their thing. And that's what Mangalarti has become, 5 minutes, 10 minutes, because you don't want the audience to get bored. So you've got to keep changing. The result being that if anyone had any hope of actually getting absorbed in the mantra, forget it. Because as soon as you start to focus, they're going to change the tune again so that you don't get bored. Prabhupada chanted the same tune for 3 hours at Tompkins Square Park. And if you hear his kirtans in 26 2nd Avenue, same tune. Our Madhava Prabhu picks up one tune and goes for like an hour. People don't seem to get bored. But the leader thinks he has to do something to keep people going. So, this gimmick and that gimmick and this trick and that trick and something. The result being that that we're hungry. We don't get the thing that we most need, which is to hear the Maha Mantra and absorb our minds in the sound of Krishna's holy name. Instead, we get all these tricks. And we starve. Okay. Sorry, Kesh again. The next morning I led the kirtan in his room, duplicating the melodious style which he had shown me the day before for the morning tune. Prabhupada was pleased and seemed to enjoy the kirtan. Unfortunately, I fell victim to that demon within the mind and started to speculate a couple of Jai Radhes at the end of the kirtan. This was one of the bigger mistakes made by me at the time. Although there's nothing wrong with Jai Radhe, Prabhupada simply didn't want us to chant it. He once explained that Shukadev Goswami did not feel himself qualified to chant the name of Radha in the Srimad Bhagavatam, and therefore only indicated her name with the word Aradhana while describing the topmost gopi friend of Krishna. Anyway, to continue the story, I had just started to chant Srimati Radharani's holy name within Vrindavan Dham, her beloved Lord's abode, within the presence of her most intimate devotee, during the most auspicious hours of the day, when her most intimate devotee looked at me with eyes blazing like fire and desirous of initiating my immediate destruction. Voice choked and gagging, I ended the kirtan immediately without further formalities, never again to make the same mistake. Prabhupada never ended kirtans with various extra mantras, especially not Jai Radhe, so why should I? Prabhupada simply didn't like it. And I have testimony from others who say the same thing. We have no kirtan where Prabhupada's chanting Jai Radhe, Jai Radhe. It's just not there. I was on morning walks with Prabhupada. Prabhupada would be walking on that, what's now Bhaktivedanta Swami Road, which was empty at the time, and sometimes some Brajbasi would pass the other way. So I remember some gentleman passed by and said to Prabhupada in the traditional greeting, Jai Radhe, and Prabhupada said back, Hare Krishna. Prabhupada chanted Hare Krishna. We can chant Hare Krishna. And he didn't want us chanting Jai Radhe. It's as simple as that. Who are you following? When you're chanting Jai Radhe in the kirtan, tell me who you're following. And if it's Prabhupada, prove it. Otherwise, I don't believe it. Prove it, give some evidence. You know, some story, I heard it here, I heard it there from Prabhupada. Otherwise, as far as I've gotten any intimation, it does not come from Prabhupada, and Prabhupada specifically disapproved. And here we have the testimony. So why are we doing it? Where did it come from? End of sermon. Although we do have ways of sneaking it in, which I'll come to perhaps next. Well, I said I was going to stop at 12 and give you all a break. It's now 5 of 12, which is close enough. And we can convene again at, say, 5 after? Is that good? You had a last question. Okay. Let's see what kind of last question you have. It's never the last question, but go ahead.
It's not kind of question, it's asking the guidance. So for example, in the Kirtan times, when very senior devotee sings this Jai Radhe, 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 what we have to do, supposed to be junior?
When you see, this is, of course, the problem, that it's not the uninitiated, haven't yet cut their hair kind of devotees who are chanting Jai Radhe. It's our senior leaders. It's very respected and senior people. So what do we do when we hear that? I can tell you what I do. I have various sets of responses. I groan. I make faces. And finally, if it's if I've really had it, I just leave. Which I have to confess, I leave a lot of Iskcon kirtans for one or another or another or another or another or another or another of these reasons. I just don't have a high tolerance for the Jai Radhes, for something other than the morning tune, for the 5-minute Hardi Bol kirtans, for all the other stuff that goes on. I figure I can use my time more profitably elsewhere, and that it's a regulation in nectar devotion that one should not be angry before the deity. So I take the opportunity to chant more rounds. That's what I do. And I also try to appreciate all the good things about whoever it is that's committing that sin, so to speak, if I may be so bold, whoever it is that's chanting Jai Radhe or what have you. I try to think, well, anyway, it's a small thing, and that devotee has done so much service. And I'm their godbrother usually, so it's like, and you're several steps down. So naturally you'll want to be respectful of those devotees and not think that well, now this, there's one more devotee that we sort of brush aside as unimportant because he did something that I heard about in Jayadvaita Swami's seminar, and that's it for him, We should be respectful to all the devotees. That okay? Good. As I mentioned at the beginning, all of my best friends, all of my most admired devotees do something that I'm going to complain about. So we have to see the good side, which is, in the case of these devotees, is usually anyone who's been around and done that much service. The good side is very substantial. Okay, so now till 10 after 12. Thank you. Hare Krishna.